Hey there, everybody. Don Emmons here from WatchReport.com, and today we have definitely an interesting one. Right off the bat here, I'm probably going to be long-winded in trying to talk about some of the things that recently the company, I think, has posted online, but has also told me in an email. And there's a lot of controversy with this watch, a lot of talk about it on the Watch You Seek and other forums. I'm going to try and go through some of that. I'm going to try and give you the best look at the watch possible, as I always do. And of course, my updated thoughts and comments will be at watchreport.com. Click the I in the upper right hand part of the screen to take you to the full review. So, this is the Ginault Ocean Rover. So right off the bat, let's just curb these. Yes, it's an homage watch. It's an homage to a Rolex. This is not what is controversial. You have Steinhardt, you have Devosa, you have Squale, and a bunch of other brands, probably 100 up to this point, that have done, an homage to the Rolex Submariner. So I'm not going to get into that. If you don't like homage watches right off the bat, then I'm telling you it's an homage. You can see it's an homage. I'm not sure why you're going to continue watching the video only to make comments and say homages are this, that, whatever. We review watches here that people hopefully want to see. If you don't like homage watches, my apologies to you. Actually, no apologies to you because that's just your own personal opinion, and that's great. We all have them. But no need to load up the comments with all that BS. That being said, you're looking at a price tag of $1,299, and the price tag is lessened here a little bit with a 55% and 60% off discount that they were offering in the month of January, and I'll get to that here in a minute as well. Let me give you a close-up look at the watch. You are looking at your standard, Rolex Submariner homage here. It is 40 millimeters wide by 47 millimeters long, 13.5 millimeters thick, including the domed sapphire crystal, 20 millimeter lugs. Of course, a screw down crown, 300 meters water resistant sapphire crystal. And this uses a Ginault caliber 72, 75. I think I'm saying that correctly. If not, my apologies. I'll have it correct in the full review. So that leads me into where we're going here, because normally when you see, and I'll use glycine as an example, you would see that they have, their movement is, an ETA 2824 or an ETA 2892, but they call it the glycine caliber, whatever, and it's just a modified movement. They've added, some decoration. They added a customized rotor, etc., and they're just labeling it as their own movement, which I take, I think is kind of foolish as well, because it's kind of misleading people to believe that it's something that it isn't. But regardless, so this company, Ginault, has said that they are actually making the movements here in the US, or at least most of the movement here in the US. And that they're also, now they specifically state in this email that I got recently, that they are subcontracting out for two machine shops for these movements, and have been, doing it, getting this watch ready for the past 5 years, and that they are doing the same with the case and dial and bezel and whatever, and having the parts made here. Now, here's the thing. They don't exactly say, they say hand built and assembled. They're not still saying made, but they kind of imply made, but they kind of imply don't. Here's the deal. I don't know. I have tried looking up as much as possible as I can on this company and the controversy surrounding the company, and I could do a 35-minute video here and probably still would not cover it. So, Google's your best friend. Google it up. You're not going to miss it. There's a ton of info or supposed info about this brand. We'll just get this right out of the way. There's been, one of the biggest controversies is that they used to formally make replicas, and now they're trying to somewhat go legit, and they're doing homages of the Rolex. Here's the thing. I can't prove it either way. I can't prove if it's not true, and I can't prove if it's true. So because of that, I really don't feel like, you know, belaboring it and going over and over it, because if I can't prove it, what's the point? I don't want to sit here and be like, yep, that's what they did, or yep, that's what they didn't, because I don't know. I reached out to the company last week. I've had this watch in the hand for a couple of weeks, and I went direct to them, and I sent them an email with a bunch of questions like, okay, listen, there's a lot of stuff going on here with this brand, and the movement and the sourcing of the piece, and where it's built, where it's made, replicas, etc. They sent me an email back, which I'm trying to cover here as best as possible, of that they are hand assembling them in the United States, that the movement is a clone of the Edit 2824, but they've made it themselves, and they've tested it and over like a 7-day period, and they've been doing it for the past 5 years to get this ready. They released a sterile sub homage back in 2011, and since then have been trying to create the Ocean Rover that you see before you. So, why did they choose to do an homage? Well, they wanted to start with an homage and then work their way up and perfect something, like this. And again, I can't condemn them for doing an homage because so many other companies do, so I'm not going to go down that route of why didn't they, if they have this capability, why didn't they do, something more original? So we'll move off that point. Their website is filled with a bunch of hyperbole. They said in this email that, they were over the top with that, and kind of was like, to be on purpose and to be funny. That their golden sand loom that they have, I can't remember the exact verbiage that they used on the website, but basically that they went to the four corners of the earth to get this golden sand loom, and it's proprietary and nobody else can get it, and all this other stuff. That they won't show their factories and whatever. They're like, even if we did, you probably wouldn't believe us. It's just a group of watchmakers, assembling watches, and we don't want to tell all of our trade because, it's a competitive business and whatever. So you got to all take that for what it is. You got to do your research on this. $1,299. That's a lot for a sub homage. I mean, that's a lot. Considering, if you're watching this, I'm sure you know the brands out there. You can go as cheap as an Invicta 8926 or something for $100, all the ways up to, I think Squales are somewhere around $600. You got Steinhardt's. There's so many. There's a brand called Tissel, which is out of Hong Kong, and I think they're like $200. They're more of like a sub-C homage, but this is kind of a combination of older style Rolex sub and your Rolex mill sub, because you have the sword hands here. Some of the stuff here, if I could focus in, it says the dial writing is a little weird in my opinion. It says kinetic continuous, whatever the hell that means, and I guess that's their thing of, Rolex Oyster Perpetual, so whatever. Then you got Ocean Rover, your water resistant submersible maritimer precision chronometer, hand built in America. Now apparently the original versions of these actually said made in the USA on the case back. Now it just says Ginault and the model number and everything. They're claiming ignorance on their part. They didn't mean to say, it was 100% made in the USA, but yet then at the same time, they're still kind of saying it's made in the USA. So I'm not exactly sure what parts are made in the USA and what's not, and what's hand assembled. And apparently the whole thing is hand assembled here in the USA as per their claims. We're already getting into 10 minutes here. Let me try and give you the best look at it. I will say this: I've been wearing this for a few weeks, um, off and on, and a little more so than I do maybe for some other review watches. I wear every piece for at least a week, or usually like 2 weeks before I try and do, especially sit down and do these videos. I've been wearing this a little more, just to really, I guess, try and bond with it, and really get a good feel for it. Here's the thing: it's a really, really, really well made watch. If you have a Steinhardt, bought Steinhardts in the past, or whatever, I'm going to tell you right now, it's better. Is it $600 better? I don't know. You have solid machined end links. Now, I show in the full review, you'll see pictures of this off, and you could see the inside of the machined out lug end piece, how it's an exact precise fit. I've actually heard that the Rolex bracelet will the Rolex model that this copies, the bracelet will actually fit right on there. So that is what it is. You have the Rolex style glide lock clasp here, and if you could see here, okay, you pull this out and you could slide this back and forth to give me 1 second, I'm doing this doing that while on camera. There we go. But you can slide this in and out, and you could set it where you want it, and we'll give you that fine adjustment. And it'll go. Let me see here. I got some water in here because I cleaned it up before. There we go. See, and the water is actually making it stick. But you can see you have a lot of adjustment there to get a perfect fit on this watch. It's very, very finely finished. The clasp and the brushing and the polishing is extremely well done. It's very sharp. I don't want to say sharp in the way of like, oh, it'll cut you sharp, but very defined edges. Everything's very well done on this. I will say one thing I noticed: I can't turn the bezel really well, like from the 12 and 6, but if I go like 10 to 8, it works perfect. The movement has been easily on par, if not better, than an ETA 2824. I really do not have any complaints about the movement. Take a look here at the very, very, very thick crown stem, and you could see the rubber gaskets and seals in there as well. It is a black enamel dial, which is very, very mirror-like. I've looked this watch over and over and over, and I really cannot find what I would call a glaring fault or issue, whether it's the dial, the bracelet, the clasp, the crown, etc. So if you are in the market for a sub-homage, absolutely I would say this one would be one to look at. The price, though, at $1,299, with, in my opinion, like claims that technically can't be backed up. I can't, refute or prove the claims either way. And I don't think really anybody else can. There's a lot of people that have a lot of speculation, and there's been a lot of things that were pointed towards them, but no smoking gun, I guess, if you will. In January, they were offering, members of WUS and the online watch world, 55% off the retail price if you did a written or like a comparison review to another sub-homage, and like 60% off the price if you did a 350-word review or a YouTube video. I believe now they're saying that deal is over. So, listen, I've said a mouthful here. We're rolling into 15 minutes. Let me put it on my 7.5-inch wrist. It's going to look like any other sub-homage on my wrist, of course, but just so you can get a look at it on my wrist. There you go. You know, your standard 40 by 47 millimeter watch. Okay. And like I said, you know, it's I don't know what to say yet. You know, I guess I'll come up with my summary / conclusion in the full written review when I sit down to write it. You know, of course, I publish these at the same time, the video and the written, but so it'll probably be a couple of days. Going away for the weekend, so probably be a couple of days from now since I'm shooting the video to when I publish the written review. You know, just like anything, we're not here to sell you a watch. We never have been. Do your research. Is it a damn well-made watch? Without a doubt. It is not in the same class as many other sub-homages. It is very, very, very well made. The lume on it is spectacular, as a matter of fact. Let me see real fast here if I can just throw it under the lamp real quick. I still have another light on when I turn these lights off, but there is a look at the lume. So, you know, even with the silly "we went to the four corners of the world" claims, yeah, the lume works very well. So, like I said, I'm rolling into one of the the longest videos I've done here on Watch Report, and but there was so much to say. There's so much controversy surrounding this brand that I knew I couldn't do just like a 4 or 5 minute video, and I'd rather talk about it here than to write a novel on watchreport.com and have you have to read through all of that. So, as always, take a look at watchreport.com. There'll be a link at the upper right-hand part of the screen. Follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. This has been a look at the Ginault Ocean Rover. This has been Don Evans for watchreport.com. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you very much.